My name is Connie. I sit in Dallas, Texas, and I am the market manager for the Northwest region that encompasses North Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, and Washington State. I work with requesters on the ground to ensure their success on our platform, and that can mean a variety of things. So, I actually do troubleshoot issues that are happening on site at their work site, as well as providing fill rate support, being an internal advocate for our Winnolower community within these markets and regions, and then also making sure that we are making the right strategic growth decisions to ensure that these markets are growing in a really great way and that it is positively impacting both the Winnolower community as well as our marketplace requester community. How I came to be where I'm at today and why Winolo's mission means so much to me can be traced back to when I was a child. I am first generation Asian American. I'm the daughter of two immigrant parents that immigrated to America in the 80s as refugees. And when you grow up in that environment, and I think a lot of first generation children can relate, you're not only a child at that point, but you're also your parents' interpreter. You're their accountant, you're their assistant. And we were no different. My sister and I, we were writing checks and we were applying for jobs for them. We were doing their resumes as much as a 10-year-old knew how to do, but we were doing all of that in grade school. So, one of the memories I can vividly remember is when my dad had been laid off from a company, and a few days later, he was already working at a different company. But I didn't fill out that application for him. So, I thought it was so strange. And I asked him, Dad, how did you find this job? How did you get this job? And he said, Well, actually, there's a company out there that you give them your resume, and based on your qualifications, they place you at a company that needs your help. But it's temporary. So it's only for 2 weeks, but at least in those 2 weeks, I'll be able to pay the bills. As a first generation child, you're thinking this is amazing. I can play outside, I can read books now. I don't have to worry about doing job applications for my parents. And that was my first introduction into staffing. My dad's 2 week stint at that company actually turned into 2 months. And then the skill sets that he learned there, after he left that placement, he was able to find a company that did very similar work. And he was hired there and worked there for 17 years, I believe, up until the point that he retired a few years back. So staffing did that for him and helped him do that. But when you grow up and you see your parents work minimum wage jobs, 7.25 an hour, $8 an hour, and barely are able to provide like just like safe housing and the necessities, you want to break out of that mold. So when I went to college, I thought that I would work in nonprofits one day. I wanted to impact change and I wanted to help families like myself. So when I was in college at San Diego State, I interned at a nonprofit that helped refugee children and refugee families in America. And I was there for 3 years, but the change was slow. And I think nonprofits are amazing in their own right, but the change was slower than I wanted to see. And I think that's when I changed my major to entrepreneurship because I wanted to impact change in a really fast and big way one day. After I graduated school, I moved to San Francisco, worked in startups, moved back to Texas, continued to work on startups. And then Winolo found me 2 years ago. And when I was interviewing with amazing people at our company and our CEO, Young, that's when that memory resurfaced for me. And that's how I related so much of Winolo's mission to my own, helping folks that look not so dissimilar to how I grew up improve their lives every step of the way so that they can provide for their families. And I think it starts with paying the bills, and then it starts with education, and then it starts with actually moving towards more sustainable and stability in not only your family's life but your life as well. And I think that's what my parents were able to do for us, and that's what I wanted to help other people do for themselves. And I see that when I visit client sites and I talk to our Winolo community, that a lot of their wishes for their own children are exactly the same as my parents' wishes for myself and my sister. So it's really amazing how it came full circle. But that's really what led me to Winolo and why I feel so strongly about not only helping my requesters, but also so much of the Winolo community on our platform. When I have to make a difficult decision, I always go back to the intent behind it. So you look back and you think, if I make this decision, what is my intention for it? Is it to positively impact someone or something? Is it to improve a process? Is it to streamline something? And you think about that, and then you think about the effects. So, what is the negative long-term effects of this on someone or something? What is the positive effects of this on someone and something, short-term, long-term? And then you have to make sure that intentions line up with what the effects are. So if the positive effects line up with your intention of what the decision is supposed to solve, then usually for me, that's the right answer. But if there's still a crossroads, I will ask coworkers, ask friends, ask people in my personal life their feedback. And I think it's so important to gather different viewpoints on certain things, but not too many viewpoints, or else you just become indecisive. So gather enough viewpoints if you're still undecided there, and then make a decision of that. But I also like the alignment. I always like the alignment between intention and then impact. The biggest life advice I can give anyone is you never have to worry about being the smartest person in a room, or the most analytical, or the loudest speaker in a room. You just have to be the person that cares the most, or a lot. And you think about it in your personal life and your professional life, your friends that you're closest to in your personal life are probably folks that care about you the most. And then you think about it in professional life. The folks at your company that are doing really well at their jobs are folks that are putting a lot of intention and care into the work they do. They care a lot about the mission. They care a lot about their teammates and coworkers and the programs and projects they're working on. And it gets you really far. And the other thing with it is that you just can't care about every single thing or you'll go crazy. So you have to pick something to care about, something that aligns with what you think as a person and who you are as a person, and then put a lot of care into that. And you don't, again, have to be the smartest person. You can ask other people for their expertise, but you at least cultivate that. And you should not only do it for your professional life, your personal life, but also for yourself. So care a lot about yourself and care about cultivating self growth and self improvement. And then I think that will eventually lead to something flourishing that's really beautiful. If you really knew me, you would know that I'm a self proclaimed expert hobbyist. So I know a little about a lot of different random hobbies. For instance, cooking, baking, sewing, knitting, painting, furniture making, jewelry making, fashion design, alcohol brewing, painting, gardening, all of those different things. I know how to start and complete projects, but I'm always within that amateur to intermediate level, and I never reach the next echelon of expert level for any of these things. Kind of like a Jane of all trades of random crafts, and I have all the supplies to do these random things, and I get just pick and choose. Hopefully, one day I'll pick one to become an expert in, but so far, it's nice to know a little about a lot in terms of hobbies and fun things to do around the house.